And as always, it's a pleasure to have you. Get interactive with us. Join us with your comments, with everything you want to say on the topics we are treating this afternoon on the post. It is via our social media handles, YouTube, myjoyonline.com, Facebook, and of course, X or Twitter. Now, Minister for Employment and Labor Relations, as well as Pensions, Ignatius Bafowa, has told Parliament the National Pension Regulatory Authority has cleared SNAT to proceed with its controversial plan to sell 4 hotels to brand the Champions Rock City Hotel. The National Pension Regulatory Authority had asked SNAT to put on hold the transaction after significant public opposition. By responding to questions in Parliament, the Minister explained why exactly the sale is being undertaken by SNAT. And of course, they have the latest on this development, and Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Koku Asante joins me via Zoom. So, Koku, why? I mean, why the sudden change of heart by the NPRA?
Well, according to the minister, the NPRA has been demanding some documents from SNAT. It appears SNAT has satisfied NPRA that this decision is in the best interest of the state. This is a question that stood in the name of Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, MP for North Tong, who himself has not been in Parliament today. The question asked on his behalf. The minister first started by laying out the policy rationale for why government is going ahead to sell these SNAT hotels. They talk about how some of these hotels have been making losses, how some of these hotels are not in the best interest of SNAT in terms of investment decision-wise, and that is why SNAT decided to offload them. And then the question then about NPRA's decision, asking SNAT to put on hold this transaction. And then the minister now explaining that, in fact, over the last 2 days, NPRA has actually been dialoguing with both him as minister as well as SNAT and giving them the go-ahead to go ahead and sell these 4 hotels. As well as we speak now, there is nothing stopping SNAT from finalizing that deal with Rock City Hotel, owned by Food and Agri Minister Bernard Champon, to sell of these 4 hotels. Elton.
But did NPR provide any roadmap as far as the sale is concerned?
Well, some members of Parliament are now demanding some documentation from the minister in terms of what went into this NPRA decision. It was about 2-3 weeks ago that we broke the news on Joy about how NPRA had asked me to put on hold this transaction and provide some further and better particulars, provide some documentation as to why exactly they are selling these 4 hotels. And so at the time, NPRA did talk about how the law gives them the mandate to be able to do this. The minister is now informing Parliament about this. The details are sketchy, it is scanty. The minister has not provided the reasoning behind the decision by NPRA asking SNAT to go ahead. But it would appear that NPRA, having been in the receipt of certain documentation from SNAT, has satisfied themselves that it is in the best interest of the state and SNAT itself as a pension fund to go ahead and do this sale. The minority MPs have been taken aback. They say they are shocked by this decision because they really believe that this was a victory for the Ghanaian people in their opposition to the sale of these 4 hotels, only for them, this setback to come up, that NPRA has indeed given them the go-ahead to do this. And so in the coming days, some of these MPs telling me that they're going to demand from NPRA through the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations as well as Pensions to furnish the House with what exactly went into the decision by NPRA to clear SNAT to proceed with the sale of the hotels, despite organized labor, despite they in the minority, and a section of the Ghanaian public really going up in arms against this transaction.
So for clarity, this new directive by the NPA, it is to SNAT to sell off the hotel, but not necessarily to sell it to a particular entity.
Alton, can you come again, please?
So I'm asking for clarity. So this new directive coming from the NPA, and I'm asking whether it is to allow SNAT to sell off the hotels, but not necessarily to sell it to a particular entity.
Well, yes, NPRA, according to the information we are gathering from the conversation that have been had in Parliament, SNAT has been at a very advanced stage to sell these 4 hotels to Rock City Hotels, owned by Food and Agri Minister Bernard Champon. And so as far as we are concerned, this instruction coming from NPRA, clearing SNAT to proceed with the sale of the hotels, is geared at selling these hotels to the transaction, the person that had bid for these hotels, that is Rock City Hotel. Mm-hmm. And so the cost is now clear for Rock City Hotel to finalize the transaction with NPRA and SNAT in particular, I should say, to sell these 4 hotels. And so the hotel sale is going to proceed in terms of being sold to specifically Rock City Hotels because it is they who have made the bid, it has been submitted, and which has been accepted by SNAT.
I'm wondering whether Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa is in the house. Right, so the latest development on this matter is that the National Pension Regulatory Authority, they've given SNAT the all clear to go ahead and sell off its stake, some 60% stake in some 4 hotels. Remember, this matter has become very controversial because some people have the view that the manner in which SNAT went about the sale in the first place was not the best. They raised issues about conflict of interest because the beneficiary of this sale is the Food and Agriculture Minister, Brian Champon, who owns Rock City Hotel. So, of course, ask him whether Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa was in the house at the time the Employment Minister provided this information.
The questions that brought these answers, they also in his name, but he has not been around today. Our understanding is that Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa is currently outside the jurisdiction. He has traveled for certain official responsibilities. In fact, both questions were asked on his behalf by Governor Kwame Agoja, and then there were follow-up questions from MP Juno Bakwe and other minority MPs, as well as some questions, a few of them coming in from the majority side, particularly the former Health Minister, who wanted to find out whether or not this is the first time SNAT is going ahead to sell its asset. The minister provided an answer that no. In fact, under the NDC governments and other places, SNAT has definitely divested its stake in certain investment. And so that is not the first time. But Okudzeto Ablakwa himself not here. We've been running some checks to get his reaction to this breaking news that SNAT is set to go ahead to sell this 60% stake in these 4 hotels, particularly Labadi Beach Hotel and all these other 3 hotels, to Rock City Hotel owned by Brian Champon.
And I'm guessing that the minority side was unhappy with this latest development. Beyond the fact that they expressed this on the floor, is there something that they are willing to do going forward?
Well, yes, the information I'm getting from the whips is that they are probably going to bring even a motion to the floor to ask Parliament to investigate because they feel there are serious conflict of interest questions that have to be answered because Brian Champon is a Minister of State, he sits in cabinet, and that they do not believe that the process leading to the bidding may have been fair. And so they are going to consider all the options that are available to them, come back to the floor and try and see if they can really fight the decision. It's about 5 months to election. They really think that maybe SNAT should also put that on hold. But they really believe that SNAT may be willing to go ahead. That is why they are going to put the options that are available to them on the table to get SNAT to hold this.
Okay, thank you very much. But what is happening on the floor? I know that there's a court case today that has that affected attendance on the floor.
Well, there's a bill currently being considered, the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority bill. But even on this hotel saga itself, there was a point where the majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, did come in to make a comment, and he said that when dry bones are mentioned, old women are worried. And Doyo Comfort, really, the deputy minority whip, did take an objection to this and said that even though people like Afenyo-Markin, being very young men, like to crack jokes at old women, those men are not able to last all night in bed. And it really took Parliament in terms of an uproar. People were laughing and were like, we are talking about SNAT hotels, a very important saga. Why are we now deflecting and talking about how men last in bed and all that? So some of these issues that have come up. But the House is currently considering some bills, and then I'm sure they are going to adjourn for the day because of the nature of business that they are doing today. All
right, Koku Asante is our parliamentary affairs correspondent, and the breaking news this afternoon is that the National Pension Regulatory Authority, they've given SNAT the all clear to go ahead, and if SNAT still want to pursue the agenda of selling 60% stake in the 4 hotels, they should go ahead and do it. Let's get some reactions. And of course, Mr. Abraham Kumsem with the Federation of Labour joins me via phone. Mr. Kumsem, I mean, MPRA, according to the Employment Minister, before Parliament just a few minutes ago, says SNAT, according to MPRA, has all the clearance to go ahead and sell off the hotels if they so wish. What's your reaction to this latest development on this matter?
The sound is not coming. I'm not hearing you, bro.
Yes, Mr. Kumsem, can you hear me now?
Very, very, very faint.
All right, so we'll reconnect with you shortly so that we can have a very sound conversation.
But when we call first,
on this matter. Mr. Abraham Kumsen is with the Federation of Labour, and we'll rectify this anomaly and get him back as we try to get reaction to this latest development on the sale of 4 hotels belonging to SNAT. SNAT says that they want to sell off 60% of its stake in the 4 hotels because the hotels in question are not bringing in much, dividends in terms of, return on investments, and it will be improper for them to continually use pensioners' funds to retool the hotels. The reason why they took the decision to sell off 4 of the hotels, and that decision has become a national discussion with the minority taking a position on it. Now, the MPA earlier advised it to stay off the sale of the hotels. Now, the latest development, according to the employment minister, is that the National Pension Regulatory Authority, they've given SNAT the all clear to go ahead and sell off the 60% stake in the 4 hotels. And Mr. Abraham Kumsin, I'm trying to get your reaction to this latest development.
Actually, I'm not very sure, but the line is not good, but I'm not very sure this story is because organized labor, we are meeting tomorrow on this issue. And we know a decision has not been taken at all. But already we sent a message, very strong message to government that we will not tolerate any sale decision of the hotel. So I don't know where this information is coming from. I doubt whether it is true.
Well, this information, let me just update you. The employment minister a while ago was before Parliament answering questions on SNAT's decision to sell off their 60% stake in the 4 hotels. And in providing this answer, also updated on the position of NPRA on the sale of the hotel. And according to the employment minister, Ignatius Bafuwa, NPRA, they've given SNAT the all clear to go ahead and then, undertake the sale of the hotel if they so wish. So, does it mean that NPRA has withdrawn the earlier letter the rules? Absolutely. No, we are not aware. We are not aware. Tomorrow we are meeting anyway. Organized labor, we are meeting tomorrow. And I'm not very sure. This is very true. They can't sell it. Because the transaction advisor, if you have a copy of the report, you will see that the report, is against what Smith wants to do. They are saying that the Rock City Hotel lacks the financial muscle to go into that agreement. They can't pay. They don't have the money. So why should they force this hotel on Brian Campbell? They don't have. Look, if you read the transaction advisor's report, you will see that there's no way these hotels can be given to Brian Campbell. No, the report is very clear. The report, we didn't, engage this transaction advisor to do what he did. But if you read the report, there's nothing that shows that, Brian Campbell has the financial capacity to buy this. So I'm surprised. We are meeting tomorrow. So if it is true, by tomorrow, I'm sure that at the close of work tomorrow, we'll know exactly what is going on. But we won't allow, because the hotels are not for government, and we say we will not allow it. So therefore, you are disappointed with this U-turn taken by NPRA? I'm not sure NPRA has taken that decision, but I cannot say I'm disappointed. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. If they want to ruffle the feathers, if they want things to happen in this country, they should go ahead and do what they are doing. No. It will not happen. Please, it will not happen. This is actually the account of the Employment and Labor Relations Minister. This same minister, you've been meeting over this matter. We have been meeting on this matter, but the Employment Minister himself is not a member of the SNAT board. He's not there. So I don't know who gave him that information that he's not a member of the SNAT board. So where is he getting his information? Perhaps
I doubt it.
because he's the minister responsible for employment, and employment has a relationship with pensions. That's the reason why he was in Parliament today to respond to this question filed by Okudzeto Ablakwa, demanding to know the status of the sale. And in his answer to Parliament, he disclosed that MPRA is taking a different position now saying that SNAT can go ahead, perhaps after reading through the justification by SNAT.
No, I don't believe it. I'll get in touch with my colleagues, and we will find out what the minister informed the Parliament is accurate. But I doubt it. I'm not very sure. They can't go behind that. They can't go behind workers' leadership and do what they are doing. It will never happen. I can assure you that we will resist it.
Mr. Abraham Kunsi, just holding on for me. I want you to listen to what exactly the employment minister told Parliament just a few minutes ago.
All right.
Information relating to the sale of the hotels, which SNAT has since done that. So it wasn't like a direct decision that SNAT should not go ahead to do anything, but then SNAT.
Ask your question, Honorable.
All right, we appear to be having technical issues bringing that visuals to you, but that was the employment minister. So, Mr. Kumsi, you say that naturally you expect that MPI will write to you.
They are just playing game. Yeah, it is not true. I am telling you, it is not true. MPI has not given that go ahead for them to do what they are doing. It's not true. If it is true, you see what will happen by next week.
All right, thank you so much for your reaction. We'll wait to hear the outcome of your meeting tomorrow, and then perhaps we can have a better conversation on this matter. But the breaking news this afternoon is that, according to the Employment and Labor Relations Minister, MPRA, that's the National Pension Regulatory Authority, they've given SNAT the all clear to go ahead and sell off the 60% stake, the 60% they want to offload in some 4 hotels. That has become a matter of national concern and discourse. So this will bring you more in subsequent bulletins. Now, the minority spokesperson on Mines and Energy, Juno, is called on government to engage with ENI, Vitol, and Springfield to reach an amicable solution and restore confidence following the recent oil utilization ruling. An international tribunal ruled in favor of ENI and Vitol in their long-standing opposition to Ghana's attempt to impose a utilization agreement on their Sankofa field in the offshore Cape 3 Point block and Springfield Energy Afina discovery in the West Cape 3 Point. Now, an arbitral tribunal seated in Stockholm ruled that Ghana breached its petroleum agreement with ENI Ghana Exploration and Production Limited and Vitol Upstream Ghana Limited when it issued directive to unitize the Sankofa oil field with the adjacent Afina discovery. Mr. Juno said the end of the arbitration presents an opportunity for government to address the issues before it comes back to head the economy. Let's get more on this with policy lead Petroleum and Conventional Energy, ASEP Justice Kojo Yaucha, who joins us via Zoom. Mr. Yaucha, so break this down for us. If the court came to the conclusion that GMPs or government breached some aspect of the agreement, in the understanding of the ordinary Ghanaian, what exactly is the court saying?
So I think the issue in contention here has been that the Springfield claims that their discovery on their field, because it's adjacent to Ennis field, straddles. It means that the reservoir and the resources are the same, and that they have to jointly produce the field together. It is important to note that unitizing fields to produce together is not an alien concept to the petroleum practice globally. Even in Ghana, the Jubilee field is a unitized field between Cosmos's block and Talos block that is being jointly produced to save cost, right? Now, there are certain conditions precedents that have to be met before you can go ahead and give that directive for unitization to happen. In our case, those conditions precedents have not been met. That is, ENI's field is already a producing field, so we know how much is on that block. But Springfield's field is just a discovery. There needed to be a commercial appraisal to determine the commerciality of that block. But the minister skipped that and just went ahead to assign rights among the two parties, which is not done anywhere in the world. And the court actually upheld that there was actually no basis for the unitization directive. That is not to say that if we find a conclusive basis, the government cannot go ahead to issue the directive for them to jointly produce. But as it stands now, that basis, which is industry standard, the science behind determining whether two different fields that are adjacent to each other straddle and are from the same reservoir basin should be produced together. That threshold has not been met, and that is why the tribunal feels that we have to put a stop to this, to cancel or nullify the directive, and if we are so inclined, do the proper things that need to be done, and then we can move forward. In fact, E&I, from their conversation from the beginning of this issue, had demonstrated their willingness to pay heed to the unitization directive if only the condition precedents have been met. So it is something that if all parties are inclined to, then we can go back to the drawing board and really look at what needs to be done and ensure that it is done, and we can move forward on this matter. So
Your Chair, in terms of the concession in question, if I may allow to use that word, the concession in question, I mean, the contention was between E&I, Vitor, and Springfield. Now, with this ruling, who now has absolute control over this concession?
No, the concession still belongs to Springfield. Springfield still owns their block. E&I also still owns their block. They will continue to invest in their block. And the expectation is that Springfield will also continue to invest in their block and push it to production. So everybody maintains their rights as it is from the ruling of the court.
And then also remember, I mean, E&I and Vitor, they went to court demanding damages in excess of $7 billion United States dollars. And from the narrative of the Attorney General, the only award they got was around 130,000 euros. That in itself went into dealing with, court charges. So on the score of financial damages they were seeking, they lost on the account of all of that. Is that not the case?
No, I mean, of course, if you go for commercial arbitration on contractual issues, you would have to put some numbers to the damages that you anticipate or the damages that you have incurred within the process of whatever incursion precipitated the arbitration that you are seeking. So the expectation is that E&I is going to put some numbers, and our understanding of the process is that that OCTP project itself cost about $7 billion, which was backstopped by the World Bank. So the understanding is that if this goes forward, then it means that we're going to lose our investments that we made into the block. And mind you, the judgment from the tribunal also indicate that if this directive goes on, is forcefully applied, E&I reserve the right to now claim for the damages that they wanted to. So it appears that at this point, because the directive is in contest, so no damages have arisen to either party for the tribunal to award damages for any party. But if after this settlement of the case, government still insists and uses the same route, then that damage to E&I may mature and they will be able to now make a claim for the damages that they feel is due them.
My final question will be, so, I mean, the way forward, so that these matters are resolved in a manner that satisfies all parties?
The way forward is to go back to the science of unitization, right? We need to ascertain the commerciality of Springfield's block because they are the ones making the claim that their block straddles with ENI. So let's know how much oil is there, first of all. And secondly, let's see whether there is any communication between the ENI block and the Springfield block. When all of these are established and there is the need to jointly produce the blocks to save costs, then there will be no dispute around it because it's standard industry practice.
And we would say that the status quo has been maintained by the court?
Yes, I mean, the business now goes on as usual. That is, the expectation is that ENI would now enjoy some sound environment to work because they've been domestic courts, they've been hounded through the courts from the lower courts up to the Supreme Court level, and they had to go for international arbitration. That the understanding is that now that there is some settlement on the germane issue for which they've been moving in and out of court has been settled, then there can be a return to normal business while we anticipate action from all parties on how to resolve the matter conclusively.
All right, thank you very much, Yao Chair, for your time this afternoon. And that's his understanding of the court ruling between governments, ENI, Vitor, and of course, Springfield. Let's move to some other stories now. Now, the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu Dampare, says the law enforcing agency will not countenance any act that has a tendency to threaten Ghana's peace ahead of the election and post-elections. As the main agency with the mandate of ensuring internal security, IGP says they will leave no stone unturned in maintaining peace. He has cautioned the youth against being used as vehicles to destabilize the country. Dr. George Akufu Dampare was responding to concerns raised after meeting with the Tema Traditional Council and opinion leaders at the Tema New Town. The following report has more.
Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu Dampare, has repeated that losing peace in Ghana will be too costly, requiring all stakeholders to play their respective roles. He is urging chiefs and opinion leaders to advise the youth against violence before, during, and after the elections, which only serve the parochial interests of some individuals. Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu Dampare, assured the Traditional Council that, having listened to their concerns, the police will protect the country's peace and will not entertain any violence.
Almost say, Omaye Krado, say,
We are happy to hear that traditional authorities and opinion leaders will work closely with us to maintain peace. We assure you, our yes will be yes and same for no. We are going to be firm and will apply the law to the letter, learning that candidates for both NDC and NPP are related will make the race quite interesting. We plead with you to speak to the youth to desist from becoming agents of violence and lawlessness. If they have any concerns, they can inform the police and opinion leaders. There is no point being violent, resulting in death. What becomes of you if you are dead and gone? Acting Chief and Mankalo of Tema, Ni Adete Agbo II, says they are ready to work with the police to maintain peace. Some individuals keep saying once Dampare is the IGP, victory is assured for their party. Others have contrasting views. Now, everything regarding the elections will be in your court. We plead with you to talk to the personnel to know that in the discharge of their duty, every step they take will lead the country towards the peace we are all after at the moment. We, the traditional authorities and opinion leaders here within Tema, will play our part by discouraging the youth from engaging in any act that threatens the country's peace. Shipi and Sue Secretary of Tema Traditional Council, Ni Ama Somponu, says the actions and inactions of the police could go a long way to interfere with the country's peace. We will do everything on our part to help you achieve the ultimate goal, because Once there is trouble, it wouldn't affect us alone. The police will have a fair share. Please, let your yes be yes, and same for no. If you keep contradicting yourself, you send mixed signals, and this could foment trouble. We are peace-loving, and it shows during elections. Meanwhile, Director of Public Affairs for Ghana Police Service, ACP Grace Asankrofi, stated that visiting the Tama region and the chiefs was in line with preparations ahead of the elections.
We are ready to work with all our partners to ensure that come 7 December, there will be peace, security, law and order. And by the time the exercise is over, Ghana would have won and security of the country will be intact. We also came to ask them to support us, to also talk to the youth, to urge them on not to allow themselves to be used to cause trouble in any constituency across the country, and also to let the world know that we are prepared with all our stakeholders and we will deal with any lawlessness. Anybody that flouts the law will be taken through the due process of the law. Ghanaians should rest assured. The police service is poised, our partners are poised, and the National Election Security Task Force is equally poised to deliver one of the best elections as far as security, law and order is concerned.
Ghana Police Service assured that having provided security during voter registration, voter transfer, among other activities, 2024 elections will be peaceful than experienced previously. The IGP was in the company of some members of the Police Management Board and some officers of the Tama Regional Command.
This is a pause. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll take you to the court. Welcome back to the pause, and of course, you can always get interactive with us via social media handles. Now, yesterday we told you about the commitment of the Works and Housing Ministry, or Minister Koku to complete all the affordable housing projects begun under the late former President John Evans Tamils, and of course, John Kufuor. The ministry is currently selecting companies to help complete the projects at Amrahia and Adenta here in Accra. In the studio with me, a spokesperson for the ministry, Manasseh Atabuahin. But before we listen to him on the way forward regarding these houses, here's a report by my colleague Rejoice Semefa Pesu.
For over 10 years, this housing project were abandoned due to litigation between contractors, state housing and the government. The Adenta project, initiated in 2011 by the late President John Evans Tamils, was abandoned in 2012. The government has now reached an agreement with contractors, and work has resumed on many of these projects nationwide. During a tour of the site with ministry officials, Works and Housing Minister Kojo Ponkroma refuted claims that the affordable housing units were being sold to private developers.
Colleagues, I'm sure you followed a number of times the point we have made that we don't have to leave projects abandoned. And so we are going through an exercise that seeks to ensure that many of these projects that are described as abandoned projects, we can resume work on them and finish them. Earlier this week, you were with us at the ministry as we made progress on Saglemi. I think I also mentioned there that we'll be going to Koforidua, where the State Housing Company, once again, is picking off on one of those projects, President Kufuor's affordable housing project around Akwadum. They've made a lot of progress on that one, and they will be resuming work on that shortly. 6 weeks ago, as part of that program, they resumed work on this particular project following the litigation there. Just to make a low point that the contractors or the private entities that we are bringing into these projects, we are not selling the projects to them. I noticed, for example, that after Monday, there were those who were of the view that we are selling these projects to private contractors. We're not selling to private contractors. We're inviting private sector in to work with us to complete. So here there are private subcontractors who are working with state housing to finish it, and then they will sell it to the public, which is the intendment. In Koforidua is the same. They're working with a private subcontractor who will be doing the same, who will go there and see it. In Saglemi as well, we've invited the private sector not to come in and buy. We're not selling, but to come in, bring in their capital. Government has already invested $200 million into it. The private entity would come and invest the estimated about 100 million, and then together we will complete the project and sell as affordable homes to the Ghanaians. So it's important that we have an understanding that because of the limited fiscal challenges that we have, or the limited fiscal space we have, government cannot necessarily bear the burden of pre-financing everything.
The CEO for the State Housing Company, Kwabena Appiah, has provided updates on the housing projects.
This is Adenta. We call this place SHC Gardens or SHC Court. This project was started around 2011 under the presidency of former President J.E.A. Mills. It was discontinued somewhere between 2012 and 2013 due to disagreements between the then State Housing Management and then the contractor and the government as well. So it made the project to stall for about 10 years whilst the case was being litigated in court. Finally, we've been able to bring the litigation to a close, and the government have taken it on to move back to site to complete this project as part of the various projects that have stalled around the country. But once we are done with that, we hope to then move to another project site within the Greater Accra region. Across the country, State Housing is developing similar projects in the Central region, where the North Fourth Ridge area in Cape Coast, in Takoradi as well. Also in the Western North, we are doing Tamale, we are doing Bogatanga, and then in Ho as well.
The Works and Housing Ministry has announced that all abandoned housing projects nationwide will be completed and sold to the public. Semefa Persu's report for Joy News.
And of course, I'm sure that if you are interested in owning one of these houses, I've got a conversation that may help put your mind at ease. The spokesperson for the Ministry of Works and Housing is Manasseh Atapwine. Manasseh, you're welcome. So you've got these beautiful houses ready for sale.
Right.
And then you've got those that are at various stages of completion. I want to focus more attention on. Is that the case?
Yes. So a very good afternoon to you, Elton, and to our cherished viewers as well. So what the Ministry of Works and Housing is doing is to ensure that we revisit projects that have been stalled. And if you would recall, there are various reasons for which projects stall.
Right.
And one of the reasons has to do with litigation. Most often than not, you would find some incidences of litigation going on, sometimes between the government and some landowners. Secondly, there are also issues with financing. Sometimes we experience most projects being stalled due to financing, and sometimes to their incidences of some alleged criminalities, among others. And so what government seeks to do is to revisit the critical issues that has caused most of the stallation of these projects, and then to ensure ways of addressing them. And when you look at the Adenta project that we visited, just a few days ago, and we noticed that there were some litigation as far back as in 2011, 2012. And
the litigation over the land?
Yes.
Even though there's a property on the land?
Yes. So there was litigation between the government and the owners. And this created the stallation of the project. And this continued for quite a long time. And so recently, government had to ensure that we revisit the issue to be able to deal with the litigation. The good news is that we've been able to make some headway, and we have State Housing who has able to raise some funding, and they are redeveloping their project. They virtually had to almost demolish all the structures, and we see the beautiful structures.
So the ones we are seeing are actually new structures?
Yes.
The ones started in 2011 they had to be demolished?
Exactly, virtually. Yeah.
Because it was found to be not fit?
Exactly. And so government is ensuring that we are able to provide more value to the projects that we are doing, to ensure that we visit each and every one of them and to interrogate the reasons for the delay. If it is financial issues, we then raise some more funding to be able to pay more attention to it. When you look at the J. Kufuor estate in Kumasi, it had the same issues. State Housing Company was able to raise some funding, and now they've completed it. Government is seeking to pay more attention to the Koforidia Affordable Housing Unit, the Sagleme Affordable Housing Unit, and the Adenta Housing Unit.
We'll come to the Sagleme, but I want us to finish with these abandoned projects. So the one at Adenta, now is resolved. The litigation has been resolved.
Yes. And State Housing is redeveloping the project.
So government handed it over to State Housing for redevelopment.
Yes.
And then when it is done, what will then come up of it?
Yeah, so when it is done, of course, state housing company would have to recoup their investment. If government made some investment in the initial processes as far back as in 2011, government will also recoup its investment as well.
And obviously we'll go into the pricing.
Yes, of course.
And this is described as affordable,
yeah,
which may be beyond the ability of those who are described as in the bracket of affordability.
So on the issue of affordability, what government is doing is to ensure that at the end of the day, when we are pricing, we'll be able to enter into the key negotiations with the developers to ensure that we're able to bring forth some price points that are affordable to the Ghanaian people. And this is something we would go on the table with, so we may not be able to disclose most of our cards now, but we are confident that at the end of the day, the project will meet its purpose as intended.
And then there's the Amrahia and the Koforidua projects.
Yes. Yeah. So for the Amrahia project, it's a new project. And government, through state housing again, is developing 200 homes on 40 acres of land at Amrahia. And it is far advanced, about 75% completed.
This is wholly government project?
This is, yes, state fund, state housing project. And again, on the Koforidua Affordable Housing Project, this was started by President Kufuor as far back as in 2008. It also has suffered some financial challenges. So the ministry, in the shortest possible time, would visit the project to see the way forward. Even before the visit, the minister has engaged state housing, and we've made some headway in making sure they have some funding available to allow them to take charge of the project and also to complete it on time. So we are confident to be able to work on this.
So from the angle of government, state housing is perhaps government being true in getting these projects done?
Of course, so state housing is there. We also have TDC. And for government, we always seek to ensure that we are able to position ourselves well to be able to attract a lot of the master developers, those who are building houses on large scale, 500 units, 1,000 units, 5,000 units. So we want to position ourselves well. And that's why government is also drafting the incentives package to be able to attract most of these master developers as well.
But again, you have a bigger challenge of reducing the housing deficit from the current 1.8 million.
Yes.
And these are all old projects that you are seeking to revive and get it done. I know that early this year or late last year, the then minister, the former minister, cut short for work to start on the Koku Asante project. Right. And I don't know what state is that project in, and then the one in the Ashanti region. Are there new projects coming up? Perhaps you can deal with the Koku Asante and the one you intend to do in, in Kumasi, in the Ashanti region.
Yes, so the aim of government is to be able to reduce a housing deficit of 1.8 million housing units. Our first point is to visit or revisit the stalled projects to be able to bring some finality to it. And then we'll be able to make some significant headway by investing more into the new projects. On the Koku Asante Affordable Housing Project, we have about 3 master developers who are on site. And we also have the grounds engineer who is doing the drainage works, the roads, and other ground works. And they are working so seriously. And we even have some structures that are springing up on the Koku Asante Affordable Housing site. And we are confident that very soon we'll be able to have some more structures there. When you go to Kumasi, the Asante Hene has given government some 200 acres of land at the Desua, and very soon State Housing again is mobilizing to move to site to ensure we are able to put up some more structures there.
So for the abandoned projects, State House has the all clear to raise its own funding to complete them?
Yes, so the ministry engages with them. It is always a collaboration between the ministry and whether TDC or even State Housing to see which one of them will be able to raise some more funding. So we'll be able to quickly address the issue of these projects that we have committed taxpayers' money to being left to rot in the bushes. And so we are confident that we'll be able to revisit all of them and to make some headways with them as well.
But why the overly concentration in the Greater Accra and the Ashanti region, where in places like the Bono region, Bono East, Ahafo, North, Savannah, North East, these are less developed, regions, and the assumption is that you will find land in abundance and also at a very cheap price. Why not, expand the development to such regions as well?
Right. So in order to expand the development of housing units to other parts of the country, the government is rolling out what we call the district housing. And we ask ourselves, why is government embarking on this district housing project? First is to be able to reduce the housing deficit, which stands at some 1.8 million housing units. And second is to deal with the point you raised, that indeed, when we talk of housing deficit, it doesn't exist only in Accra or Kumasi or Takrady or Sunyani or Tamale or Koforidia. It is all over the country. It exists in every district of this country. And so what government seeks to do is to ensure that we are able to roll out the district housing project so that when a public officer is posted to any of these rural areas or even the districts, they will not reject the offer because they think there are no standard housing projects for them. And again, the biggest point on the district housing project is the use of local materials, what we call the compressed earth brick, to be able to ensure that once we use these materials, in the end, it will reduce the cost of the project by up to some 30%.
And are you already on the ground? Have you cast for some to start? Where?
Yes, so the designs and the costings are done.
How much are we talking about?
We are hopeful that by the end of this month, we would launch the district housing project, and then we'll be able to put out the details you are requesting for.
And how many districts are you starting with?
Yes, we would pilot some few selected districts, and we'll also announce that during the time. But we want to ensure that we are able to engage more with the use of local materials and also local contractors, which will also create an opportunity for Ghanaians to be employed in building this district housing across the country.
So these details will come after the launch?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Now let's talk about Sagam. I mean, this week we were told by the minister that you've shortlisted 4 companies or 5.
Yeah.
And by the close of yesterday,
right,
the expectation is that we will settle on 1.
Right.
What is the latest on that?
Okay, so the latest on the Sagam Affordable Housing Project is that, as we all know, on the 17th of April 2024, the Minister for Works and Housing, together with the Ministry of Works and Housing, issued a request for proposal to invite investors or master developers to offer their assistance and even financial resources to complete the project. Then again, on the 9th of May 2024, the ministry took about 10 developers, both local and international, to the site for them to observe the state of work over there. And on the 8th of July, the ministry received bids or proposals from 5 companies. And we've engaged with the Public Procurement Authority for them to be able to select one of the accounting audit firms. We have 4 so far that have shown interest in...
The 4, are they all local or they are foreign companies?
Right. So we have KPMG, for example. We have PwC. We have Ernst & Young. And we have Deloitte.
These are the accounting firms?
These are the accounting and audit firms.
I was asking about the companies you've shortlisted to undertake the project. Yes.
So for the companies we've shortlisted, we have Marcelton Group, for example. And we have Dredge Masters Titanium, for example. We have Afro-Arab Properties Limited, for example, and we have Quams and LMI Holdings as well. So a blend of local and foreign. Yes, and we are confident that before the end of the week, the Public Procurement Authority would indicate to the Ministry of Works and Housing in writing which of the
accounting
audit firms, yes, will be chosen to evaluate the proposals that we have received.
So as we speak, the 4 that you've shortlisted, all of them, from your own estimation, are all capable of undertaking the project?
That will be determined by the independent evaluation entity, which will be announced or provided by the Public Procurement Authority, because they will be able to evaluate the bids that these entities have submitted to be able to make a determination as to whether they are fit financially and technically to be able to commit some more resources and expertise to complete the project.
But then it is safe to say, because you have shortlisted these 4, does it stand to reason that in terms of your conditions you've set, all of them, they've met it by only looking for a external body to evaluate them and then come up with the one that best can execute the job?
No, so government opened the bid for every interested developer, whether local or international, to submit the bid.
I'm sure you got more than 4.
No, so we got 5. Some of them have formed what we call the consortium. Okay, yes. So government opened it, and what we have received is the 5 bids from these 5 companies, and we are confident that the independent evaluation entity will be able to evaluate them and to assess their worth and their experiences and their compliance to rules and even to regulations in various countries to be able to select the best developer for the country as well.
So what are you looking for?
Right, so the criteria for selection,
exactly.
Yes, is based on two parts. The first part is the financial strength, and that amounts to some 70%. And again, we also would look at
the person must demonstrate that he will be able to raise at least 70% of the money required to complete the project.
Yes, in fact, the selected bidder should be able to demonstrate over the period that they will be able to raise the additional $100 million. That's the Ghana Institution of Surveyors sometimes back mentioned that will be needed to complete the project. You see, the current state of the Sagleme affordable housing project, and a little background is that $200 million US dollars was contracted or borrowed to build 5,000 housing units. In the end, as it is today, we have 1,506 housing units with the use of almost $200 million. And so what government seeks to do is to ensure that we are able to bring in some private partnership to be able to commit some more resources and technical expertise to complete and operationalize the 1,506 housing units, as it were.
So, I mean, even if government wants to go ahead and do it, government will have to raise an additional $100 million before something significant can be done about it.
Yes, so absolutely. The government, cabinet took a decision as far back as in 2021 that it was not going to commit additional resources after having spent $200 million US dollars in the erstwhile administration. And that was why it was expedient for a private developer to be looked for, to be able to commit some more resources to it. And so back to your question, the private developer should be able to demonstrate some huge financial muscles to be able to at least provide the estimated $100 million to be able to complete the other structures and also to extend electricity, water, and even sewage and even storm drains to the place to make the Sagleme city, the affordable housing area, habitable.
The initial plan was to construct 5,000 housing units. The contractor, at this stage, we can only count 1,500 units. This new dimension that you have taken, is it a case that you are going to go beyond 1,500 or you stay with 1,500?
Okay, so with this new dimension, what we seek to do is to work on the 1,506 housing units. We want to complete it and also to operationalize it, after which government will look at efforts to be able to draw in some more developers to invest to be able to build the additional funding. So now we are dealing with the 1,506. And when we are done, when it is completed and it is being operationalized, we then will look at how to utilize the other lands available for this project.
Are you selling the project to a private developer or you are partnering them? And how do you deal with their investment when everything is said and done?
Right, so we want to make the point very strongly that government is not selling the Sagleme affordable housing project to any private developer. What government is doing is to be able to bring in private developers for them to also come and invest, the estimated $100 million in their technical expertise for us to complete and operationalize it. At the end of the day, the government will have to recoup its $200 million invested in the project, and the private developer so selected will also recoup its $100 million or whatever amounts the private developer will invest. So we want to make the point strongly that government is not in any way selling the Sagleme affordable housing project to any private developer. We are only bringing them in so that we'll be able to put our heads together to complete the project for it to be beneficial to Ghanaians. And at the end of the project, the housing units will be sold to Ghanaians. And that is where government will ensure that we are able to put in some checks and balances so that it wouldn't be the case that a rich man somewhere will just come in and buy the housing units in bulk. That's why government intends to sell the project through unions, trade unions, so that the unions will be able to vouch for their members and their members will have these housing units, or also through mortgages, so that as a worker, you will be able to fall on your banks for mortgage to acquire the project, and it will never be the case that someone will just come with the aim of purchasing these housing units in bulk. That will not happen.
And you are saying that government was very instrumental in fixing the price?
Absolutely. So government would negotiate with the private developer to be able to come to a price point that would be quite affordable for the ordinary Ghanaian.
So when are you hoping to finish all these administrative issues so that work can start on the Sagalame housing project? And then secondly, remember that the Member of Parliament for the area, Mr. Sam George, indicated some time back that they gave the land to government because it was meant for a government project. Now, government is seeking to bring in a private entity. That changed the narrative. And if that is so, then there should be renegotiation of the initial agreement between the Pram enclave or the chiefs or the local authority and government. Have you resolved these matters as well?
Right. So according to our work plan, so far we've been able to follow the work plan, the 17th April 2024, on which we issued the request for proposal. Then we did a site visit on the 9th of May 2024. Then we've also received the proposals on the 8th of July. And we are hoping that by the 1st of August, we'll be able to enter into some contract negotiations, and that would be preceded by the approval of the proposal after the independent evaluation entity has been able to submit their evaluation report and also to select one of the investors. And we are hopeful that by the 30th of August 2024, we would have signed the contract. So as per our work plan, we are hopeful that we'll be able to follow it, and barring any changes that would mar the process.
And then did the Honourable Sam George concerns?
Yes, so the concerns are well heard, and the government is not selling the properties. Government has invested into this project up to a point, and we only need the private developer to also come in to help us complete the project, so that at the end of the day, government will have to recoup its investment, and the private sector will also have to recoup his or her investment, and that's what we are seeking to do. I'm not too sure of the issues he is raising, and I'm sure the ministry will take critical notice for that. If there will be the need for the ministry to renegotiate with the landowners, that will be done. But the very essence of what government is doing is to be able to complete and operationalize, so that would help reduce the housing units, and it will also be beneficial to the same people, or most of the people in his constituency.
My final question will be, are you absolutely certain that this new energy you are pumping into the Sagalame project will be the last? And the next time we talk about this matter, we'll be handing over keys to deserving owners.
Absolutely, we are very apt. In fact, when you look at one of the marching orders His Excellency the President gave to the Minister for Works and Housing, Honorable Kejo Oponkroma, in February 2024, one of it had to do with him resolving the Sagalame affordable housing project. And we are not relenting on our efforts in expediting the processes to see to the fruition of the project. And we are confident that once we are working according to schedule, according to our work plan, we'll be able to make some significant strides, so that at the end of the day, these projects will not be left to rot in the bushes, as well as other affordable housing projects, like I mentioned, the Adenta, the Koforidua, amongst others, to ensure we are able to revisit them and to finish them in time, so that Ghanaians will benefit from it. All
right, Manasseh, thank you very much for coming through, and we'll be speaking more, because there's a lot more work that must be done before completion is done. So Manasseh Tabuahen is a spokesperson for the Ministry of Works and Housing. This is a pause. Again, we'll take a short break. We'll come back, and Accra High Court has dismissed a submission of no case filed by the CEO of defunct gold dealership firm Men's Gold. You want to stay tuned for details from the court. Stay right there. Right, so welcome back. This is a pause here on Joy News. Now, an Accra High Court has dismissed a submission of no case filed by the Chief Executive Officer of defunct gold dealership firm Men's Gold. The court, presided over by Justice Ernest Owusu Dapa, indicated that the CEO of the defunct gold dealership firm, Brew Marketing Consult and Men's Gold, have a case to answer and should open their defense. The accused persons have been charged with 39 counts under various offenses under the country's laws. Leading member of our legal affairs desk, Richard Kojo, joins us in the studio with more. So, Kojo, first, walk us through the charges that were leveled against NAM1.
So these charges range from money laundering, engaging in deposit taking without license, also engaging in gold dealership without license, and then fraudulent breach of trust. And so they walked through one after the other. There was 110-page ruling the judge submitted. You know, at the close of the case of the prosecution, it's incumbent on the court to assess the evidence that have been put forward by the prosecution and to decide whether indeed the prosecution has made its case. If that is not done, then it's also incumbent on the defense counsel to also file a submission of no case. And so in this case, it was the defense counsel that filed the submission of no case, that, well, we feel that after the prosecution has put everything together, we feel that the prosecution has made no case against us. Exactly. So the court should allow us to go. So this case actually started in 2019, and they've dragged it on up to this point. And so after the submission of no case, then it means that the defense counsel would have to open their defense. So why you feel you are not guilty, and so you have to pitch your might against that of the prosecution. And so that really was what really happened.
And then the judge, after listening to both sides, came to a determination.
Exactly. So the determination, one, on the deposit taking without license, the judge said that the prosecution has made its case. On operating in gold or dealing in gold without a license, the court said that the prosecution has made its case. On fraudulent breach of trust, the judge indicated that yes, indeed, upon the submission by the prosecution, indeed, the defense counsel on NAM1 and the two others, they have a case to answer. And then money laundering as well, because it got to a point the judge intimated that there were some monies that were passed through some of the operations where the celebrities were and all of that. And so they feel that the prosecution has indeed proven. And so we are waiting on the 23rd of July, where we'll be back in court for NAM1, Brew Marketing Consort, and Men's Gold to actually open their defense. In fact, after the court case, NAM1, that was in a high spirit, we had an interaction with him, and he says that he actually feels for the customers of Men's Gold, and he actually initiated processes of giving them the money back, but for the criminal action that has been instituted against him. And so let's listen to NAM1 in court.
Had some gains, you know. First of all, we give glory to the Almighty God. We thank the Republic for creating an enabling environment for us to be able to, go through the legal, process. We thank the security services for the securities they have provided from then till now. I mean, it's been 6 years, So today, yes, we had some acquittal, we had some gains. We disagree, we very much disagree. But it is worthy of note that the disagreement does not in any way erupt the judiciary and then the courts. Yeah, so, I would speak with the defense legal team, and then we would consider and then explore all necessary rights to redress, under the parameters of rule of law. So, it's a win for Ghana, it's a win for rule of law. We have always maintained that we are not guilty. And we still stand by that. And listening to the lengthy ruling, certain keywords were very, essential. And they were like consistent. So, for example, there were words like presumption, we presume, it appears, it looks like, it seems. What that tells me is that it's just like, viewing it on the face value, right? And not necessarily going into the fact of the matter. So I wouldn't also want to go into the merit or the demerit of the matter, because this is just the prima facie, which is like looking at it on the face value. So, well, it could be a mirage, and this is just one, person sitting down looking at it. So, yeah, once we disagree, the law permits that we can always take it to, an appellate court or the legal remedies under, a legal dispensation can be exercised. And so we would go back to the drawing table, in an attempt to defend ourselves and then to affirm and then get a court to proclaim our innocence to the whole world. We would explore all the legal remedies, under, the law.
This affords you the opportunity to open your defense, because this is just a ruling, and so to whether to make your case actual.
Absolutely. That's why I said we think that it is not like I mean, I read in a session of the media that says that we are afraid to open. No, nobody's afraid. You know, from 6 years, 7 years, we have been here. All right, we have subjected ourselves as law-abiding citizens to, you know, what the law says. You know, all through from the circuit court now to the high court. So yes, but of course, the law permits us to exhaust, you know, certain our right of redress, and it is for us to waive that right or, you know, exercise it. So yeah, we'll go. I cannot, you know, decisively stand here and then say that we are going to do that, but I have to speak to my lawyers, and then we can come to that conclusion or otherwise.
So I presume that the last 6-7 years have been very challenging.
So when it becomes, if we exhaust all the legal remedies, I mean, of redress, and it becomes inevitable, right? It becomes inevitable that we need to open the defense. Why not? We are law-abiding citizens. We are subjects of the state. You know, we are not above the state. We are humble citizens, all right? So we will gladly, enthusiastically open the defense. And then all of you would hear what I have to say with respect to the charges that has been labeled. But as it stands right now, we are not guilty. And I mean, that is instructive and very commanding.
Tell me how challenging the past 6-7 years have been for you. I mean, people clamoring here, saying that you've defrauded them and all of that. How challenging has it been?
It's been very painfully challenging. But of course, we leave that to what doesn't break you makes you stronger. And I'm a believer, you know, whatever God doesn't permit doesn't happen. So it's fine, it's very fine. I'm not a person that complains. You know, anybody who knows me will tell you, I don't believe in complaints, right? I embrace whatever comes to me. I hold a challenge and I try to make the most out of it. So that's precisely what we're going to do.
Finally, before you go, the aggrieved customers, throughout the course of the trial, you are making
just one more
arrangements to pay or cater.
Yes. In terms of payment, we are very happy. You know, we've been constrained. Every company has liabilities. I mean, companies lose money all the time, right? So it breaks our heart that people have had to suffer this unintended consequences. It breaks our heart, right? But we are before a criminal court. And if you know what the criminal court establishment is about, it is not a remedial court. It is a punitive court, a punitive and by extension a reformative court. Right? So you come before a criminal court, you're not here to remedial, you're not here to remedy a situation by way of coming to pay debt. You are here, it is you against the state. So if they find you culpable, a punishment or a punitive sanction is imposed. So we are very happy. We want to exhaust this. Once we, by the grace of God and I have firm belief in God Almighty, once we're able to exhaust this, then I believe we can, the state may decide to go to the civil court, and at that point we'll be happy to, you know, make the necessary payment, discharge our payment, you know, obligations to our customers.
I presume you feel for the customers who are suffering.
We very much do. But I mean, one thing has to lead to the other. We need to take off this albatross of criminal, you know, liability off our back, and then we can look at it from a civil realm. Then when we go to the civil realm, it's between us and then those we transacted with, that we can negotiate, all right, and find a middle ground, and then do the necessary payment and we leave. Because before the criminal court, if you are making payment, as you guys all will recall, we started making some payment to the Ghana Police Service, right? We needed them, we didn't make the payment to them, but we needed them to aid us, give us security to be able to make the payment. But that effort has been thwarted by this criminal, you know, proceeding or prosecutions. You know, because before the criminal, when you are before a criminal, you know, proceeding, if you are making payment, what are you making the payment to? Is it to mitigate the punishment that will be meted against you if you are found culpable? Is it to stop the prosecution? What is it for? Yeah, so we cannot make payment before a criminal court, right? So we thank you all for coming. It's been a very interesting journey. You know, God bless everybody. God bless Ghana. And we hope and pray that God will make a way.
And our payments are also known as NAM1. So, Richard, did you get a reaction from the customers and the Attorney General's Department?
So let's start from the AG's department. They were in court. They were very excited that indeed, I mean, when you a submission of no case has been filed, and then the court says yes, the defense counsel or the accused people have a case to answer, then it means that you have some confidence of the case that you are pursuing. And so we spoke with the spokesperson of the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General, Wilberforce Mesa.
Prosecution, I mean, what does that mean to you?
A prima facie case at this point means that, so the court has not gone into the full merits of the matter, but it behoves on the prosecution to establish a prima facie case, that means that you need to prove to a good extent, some of all the elements of the offense to which the accused person would be called to answer. So if prosecution had failed in this duty, then apparently, or as the law demands, the judge would have let the accused person or accused persons walk away. So it's very important. This stage of a trial, the submission of no case part of a trial, is extremely, extremely crucial. If you get this wrong at this stage, the accused persons would have walked. And the victims, the numerous victims you see behind us, it would have been a different story. So we are very glad the hard work and toil of the men and women of the prosecution's division of the Office of the Attorney General have indeed proved that what the French say, la loi n'aime pas le bruit, which means the law does not like noise. So it's been years, and we know when it comes to crime, there's no statute of limitation in respect of crime. This issue indeed has been in court. I've been reliably informed by one of you that since July 12th, so it was an exact date, July 12, 2019.
But Richard, as I wrap up with you, so the next time they are in court, it will be the start of the trial itself. Is that not the case?
Exactly, because now the prosecution has closed its case, so it's left for the defense to also open its case and rebut whatever the prosecution has done. If it is criminal, it is proved beyond reasonable doubt. And as you saw in court, the customers were there, they filled the courtroom. After the courts, they indicated that they are very, very happy and they want the trial to be beamed live on our televisions and all of that. And so we are looking forward to what will really transpire, whether these wishes will be granted.
All right. So therefore, any talk of getting money back here, and they will have to wait till the final determination of the case.
Exactly, because now they say that they have a renewed confidence that, well, they've waited for so long. A lot of them have died. Others have suffered some ailment, one or the other. But they see the ruling today as a victory for them. And so they are urging all of the Men's Ghost customers to be tribune to the court once the trial actually starts.
All right. Thank you very much, Richard, for your call. It's head of our legal department here at Joy News. There's also another case in court involving the minority leader, Kesela Toforsen, Richard Jakpa. We'll have details for you pretty soon. But for now, we'll take a short break right here on the pause. When we return, we have more for you. You're welcome back. And before we end the show, some conversation that is taking us outside the shores of Ghana. Now, in the last few weeks, Kenya has been in the news around the world, mainly for one reason: the demonstration that led to wide-ranging reforms there. Even today, we are reading about some changes done by the president, William Ruto. Now, some died, some were injured, unfortunately, but it's waking up the leadership, and things seem to be going on in the right direction. Now, what can we learn from them? Yes, and then the business aspect as well. It is for the very good reason, because Kenya economy is so strong, and this initiative will be a win-win situation for both economies. And here with us in the studio as we talk about Kenya and business, our business leaders who are visiting Ghana to explore ways of building strong linkages with the private sector in Ghana in a bid to accelerate the agenda of the African Continental Free Trade Area. They comprise of entrepreneurs in milk, meat, coffee, tea, leather, and other sectors, and also seek to explore investment opportunities with interested parties with the Ghana Association of Industries members. They join me in the studio for a quick conversation about the visit. Kennedy Mwangura, did I get the name right?
Yeah.
Great. And of course, David Sosa. And we also have Bedan Watha. Okay, so you're welcome to Ghana. So how long have you guys been in Ghana?
For this, the purposes of this trade mission, we've been in Ghana for the last 1 week.
1 week.
He joined yesterday, and he has been here for a week. I've been here for longer than that.
Longer than that?
Yes, but I'm the chairman of TradeX Consult Africa.
Okay.
And we have a partnership with AGI, which we signed in December last year during the Volta Fair. And this was to enable us interact with the Kenyan business community.
Right.
And the dreams and ideals that we had started during the conversations we had with them are now bearing fruit. To my left, I have Bedan and Kennedy,
right,
who are in two of the industries that have shown great potential in Ghana.
Right.
And Bedan is doing tea. Kenya is a very good, it's a big tea producer.
Absolutely.
Yes, and leather. Kennedy is doing leather.
Okay.
Kenya is also a very big producer of leather. What we had realized that Ghana imports its leather from Italy, and rather than in the other African countries, and we wanted to take make steps in that area where after the trade initiatives and the bilateral agreements between the two countries, we want to cut off the European markets and export directly, in trade directly
between countries within the continent.
African countries in the continent.
Okay.
Yes. So that is why we're here, and I think we've had some very successful meetings.
Right.
And I think they will tell the story.
Perhaps let me start from Kennedy.
Yes.
So Ken, what exactly do you do? Tell me about your business.
Yes, we do leather tanning of hides and skins from raw to finished products. We have a complete chain of value addition. And we do the final products of leather and leather articles, right from footwear, belts, wallets, and all the leather articles. And we have done that for the longest in Kenya. We've done for this one for the last 40 years plus. And we've managed to have the issue of Kenya being sustainable, the policy of sustainability, been able to supply the shoes and the military boots to the Kenya Defense Forces. We've supplied to the prisons. We've done the supply of leather to the Kenyan Parliament, the one that used to do the seats. We've also doing the school-going shoes for the children. Anything leather. Leathermark Leather Center is the home of leather.
And so here in Ghana, what are you hoping to achieve? Have you already started talking to businesses that may align with what the kind of business you do?
Yes, we've done some engagements with some of the leaders and business partners, and we realized we have a big market in Ghana because some of the leaders we talked to earlier this morning, the main issues on the leather itself for making the leather articles, and the challenge is on the quality of the leather. Whatever they are getting is not a quality guaranteed as to what they saw, because I gave them some of the samples and they acknowledged and in fact they agreed that our leather is of good quality, and as such moving forward we're going to have some advanced discussions on how we'll be able to get the leather from our factory in Kenya.
So Ben, let's talk about tea. And everybody take breakfast.
Yes.
This morning, for example, I took Lipton. So how do you come in?
Yeah, well, very well. I think you took Lipton. Lipton is the biggest brand of tea, of packed tea in the world. I work for a company called Phillies. So Phillies is the oldest company of tea in the world. I think we were founded in 1750. So for tea, here we are a B2B kind of business. So we offer solutions for that. So probably you might not be taking my tea in Lipton's, because Lipton's will continue to produce their tea here. But there are other sectors, there are other SMEs that would like to join the bandwagon of tea, and we are here to try and support them from the ingredients point of view. So we've met quite a number of people because there are two things about tea. We need to bring fresher tea, so that you get the better flavor. We also need to sell Kenyan tea to Ghana instead of it going very round. So
of course, and I support that 100%. But how is it going? Are you talking to people What has been the response?
Yes. The response has been that, yes, we've been doing this for a long time. We are positive about it. We would like to try this. If we put in place what has been the challenges, if we put them behind us, we should be able to move forward. I think the partnership between Ghana and Kenya is quite traditional, and so there's positive outlook.
All right. So David, I mean, in terms of, there's already AFTA.
Yeah.
And I don't know how businesses in Africa are taking advantage of the opportunities that exist under AFTA to help the integration and, of course, trading among ourselves. Have we really exploited that advantage yet?
I think that is what we're beginning to do. I am a Ghanaian who was born in Kenya.
Okay.
Both my parents are Ghanaians. And we've seen where the gaps is. And we formed TradeX, Africa Consult, to fill in those gaps. So it was just recently that we signed an agreement with AGI, and after several discussions. And we had a conversation with the manufacturers in Kenya. There will be more interactions,
of course,
but this is the beginning. Yes, and there's big hope, and there's really big hope in doing business. As Beden has just mentioned, there are some gaps which need to be filled, and once they are filled, it will be very easy to do trade within the two countries.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, in going around the table again, let me again some of you can. I mean, imagine supplying leather to even the entire West African sub-region. That is big business.
Yes.
And if similar companies are allowed to do the same with different brands and other, that is we raising billionaires in Africa within a short period of time. Yet, do you think that we've really looked at that as an opportunity that we can explore, knowing very well that even within the country, there are issues of, traveling and, borders that are restricting movement here and there. What more can we do to make this seamless?
The first thing is to believe in ourselves as countries and as players in the market, that it is possible that Africa can be able to be self-sustainable in terms of all the industry and the areas. Getting back to the leather, I believe for us, you look at the Kenyan military and the Kenya police service and the discipline forces, the school-going children, yourself wearing a shoe, you have a belt, you have a wallet. So this is a market that cannot be exhausted because we need to bring everybody in board. And I'm sure when you do now the value addition across the chain, the farmers and everyone will be able to benefit out of this. And I'm sure this will be an awakening factor to the business people as well, because if I make the belts, I will not be able to dispute maybe probably to everyone, but again, there are people in between that will be able to, the retailers and the distributors as well. So all our sales along the region and across the region are going to benefit from this.
And Bernard, are there challenges that you think that must be addressed urgently?
Yeah, I think there are challenges. We need to, first, we need to integrate better. Of course,
and now you don't think that we are doing that much?
Because, we need to fasten the pace, I think. And this is why we as private sector have decided to come and help, because governments and signed sat down, it took some while, and it's a big progress because this is between SADC countries, COMESA and ECOWAS. So of course the potential is massive. In fact, if we could integrate very well, we don't need to export outside of Africa, according to me. I think that is a big
because we have a population of over 1.3 billion.
Yes. This is, we can't...
A continent with 30% of the world natural resources.
Yeah, we can do very well. And you can imagine, so I'll bring tea here and I'll get cocoa from you at better rates. So currently we even have a very big advantage. Why? Okay, we say that another man's poison is another man's sweetness. We have this Suez Canal problem currently that, so all vessels, going to Europe have to come through the Cape of Good Hope. This in itself, I think we saw it in Tema, has improved the transshipment capacity at Tema Port.
Right.
If that continues, and even if peace is made, we don't want them to fight forever. If they make peace, at least we'll have developed a new transshipment route.
Sure.
This is one of the biggest challenges that we used to have. So already we shorten a very good route. So that is already sorted. Then we make the tariff barrier breakdown quicker, because you have it on paper, but it's not ratified in some places.
All right.
So those are the low fronts.
Right. So let me wrap up with David so that I can bring in Michaela.
Yes.
So David, is there an open day, a forum where businesses are all converging so that ideas can be shared, networking can be built?
That is something ongoing.
Okay.
We have partners like Eminence Global, Michaela, who you're going to speak to just now, and others that we are consulting with, and with AGI. We're going to have those forums. I think in September we're having something on the AGI calendar, and there will be other business safaris where we're going to have Kenyan businessmen coming to Kenya, and Ghanaian businessmen
also going to Kenya.
Yes.
Okay.
So that all those are in the plans.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, and I'll wrap up with them pretty shortly here on the pause so that I can also bring in one more person as we wrap up this discussion. So Michaela is also part of the delegation.
Yes.
And just because of time, I'll allow for some few minutes from Michaela. Michaela, you're welcome to Ghana.
Thank you.
Tell me about yourself and what you do.
All right.
Maybe I've got a table of men, all of them into businesses.
Yeah.
So what does Michaela do?
All right, so I'm Michaela Mongore. I'm the Global Director for Eminence Global. It's a PR firm that is headquartered in Nairobi, but has footprints across Africa and globally. So in partnership with FedEx Africa, together with AGI, we were the ones on the ground in Kenya mobilizing the group of leading companies in Kenya to come introduce them into the Ghanaian market to promote regional economic integration, and also to see what Ghana has to offer so that we can take it back to Kenya.
Okay.
In the spirit of creating, linkages between businesses, promote investment between the two countries, and also, to just foster intra-Africa trade, because that's what we really need. It's different somehow. In Africa, you tend to value products from maybe USA, France, and others, but we forget that Africa produces very good quality products, and so when we strengthen intra-African trade, we can be able to grow Africa together.
So in the next 5 or 10 years to come, this intercourse, if it is maintained, what story will we be telling in the next 5 or 10 years to come?
Next 5 to 10 years to come, I think we will have promoted uniformly regional, economic development and trade across all borders in Africa, because that's what we really need to grow, as Africa. Yeah.
And then after, you think there's more that perhaps businesses should do to take advantage of the opportunities and after?
100%, because I believe after opens the opportunity for Africa countries to trade with each other, and we can leverage on that as Africans from different countries, Kenya, Ghana, and other countries, to be able to encourage businesses in between all countries.
So 30 seconds each, Mr. Which you can, as we take leave of us, what are you telling Ghanaians and Ghanaian businessmen?
What I would tell the Ghanaians businessmen is that there is much opportunity in Africa when we engage and believe in each and every country. When we engage each other, we are able to learn, because every day is a learning day.
Sure.
We learn from each other, we build each other, and we grow together as Africa.
Bernard?
First, I would like to thank Ghana and the Ghanaian community and the Ghanaian businessmen for actually allowing us to be here, because they would say, no, I do this. So it's that shows the openness of it, and I believe if we continue with that spirit, we grow together.
David?
Yes, I would like to thank the AGI and Eminence and other partners who helped in this initiative, because we want to encourage people to buy African, trade African, and do everything African. Yes.
Okay. Michaela, you have the final word.
First of all, I love Ghana. Your food is amazing.
Oh, that's
and
great to know.
I'll say that.
Have you tasted jollof?
I've tasted jollof, kelewele. I've also tried so many things I've tried here, and your food is amazing. And I'd like to say that we should continue in this partnership to strengthen our bilateral trade agreements to effect the MOU signed between the President of Ghana and the President of Kenya. And together we can be able to grow.
And I want to invite all of you also to, we have a habitat fair where we are showcasing everything housing this weekend. If you are in town, I can invite you all to Tema, the industrial hub of Ghana, where we have all the big players in the housing industry come together to showcase their products.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
All right.
We'll be there, yes.
So that's our show, folks, for today. We'll be back tomorrow, same time Friday, from Tema, where we'll have the habitat fair. Until then, whatever you are up to in the hours ahead, I hope it's profitable. My name is Elton Grobe. See you tomorrow.